Hey guys, Rafferty Pendra here. In this video, I talk about the 10 reasons you might have a hard time letting go. If you happen to have your hands stuck in things too much, too often, this video is going to help you out a lot. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up for me and feel free to subscribe to my channel for future content like this. So point number one is fear of losing control. There is a balance between getting somebody to be able to do the job, seeing that they can do it, and then that will actually make you feel more comfortable on letting go a little bit more. The key to me, for me, on this was when I really focused on getting somebody else to be able to do it, and then I saw that they could do it, I felt so much more comfortable in letting go. And I could be that overbearing person who was all up in everybody's business. But as I started to see people could actually do it, I got a lot more comfortable with, all right, cool. These people are capable of doing it and they're showing me that they can do it. Point number two, fear of making a mistake. What if this person in this area makes a mistake? And the reality is, well, have I never made a mistake? Think about it yourself. Like, yeah, of course, we as an owner have never made a mistake before. I told my staff in a staff meeting a little while ago, I've made bigger mistakes in this business than any other of the staff could even make. They didn't even have the authority to make mistakes as big as I have. So the reality is, we're human, we're on Earth, welcome to Earth, mistakes happen. For me, it was about being realistic, understanding that somebody is going to make mistakes, but that my job is to help make them as successful as humanly possible. Point number three, fear of the unknown. What happens if? Well, I solve that by making sure that I look. If you can look, you actually spend the time to go and look, see what's happening, observe what's happening, fix things as they come up, you're going to have that concern of the unknown. It won't be there nearly as much. Point number four, lack of trust in staff. Part of this we can address by, again, looking, by training people, by seeing that they can do it. And part of it we just have to get over. The reality is no one ever built a really massive corporation with one person. There are going to be other people involved. There is a trust that has to be there. And it can become irrational where we won't trust anybody because, well, this guy screwed up before. Yeah, but we also maybe didn't choose the right person. Maybe we didn't spend the right amount of training. Maybe we didn't solve the process well enough. One of the big ones that I've seen with business owners is saying, well, I tried to hire people for that and they failed and they failed and they failed. And then I really dig into it and I find that they didn't develop the process well enough to even get anybody else to do it. So don't be surprised if they fail. Lack of trust is really a two-way street on that one. Point number five, lack of time to train staff. It takes so much time to train staff. Yes, it does, but no, it doesn't. Yes, it does, but you have to do it. It's one of those things you have to do. One of the other side of it is one of our successful actions has been documenting our training so that people can actually do the training. They can do the training over and over and over again. We can make sure that people are really understanding what they need to do, how they need to do it, and that actually multiplies our time. We're way less concerned about, well, I have to spend all this time to get somebody trained all the way up through the entire thing again from scratch when you actually document that. Point number six, concern about the cost of training staff. And again, yes, it is a cost. It is also an incredible thing when you actually really give value to another person, you really encourage them, you coach them, they grow. And to see how much they will actually give back, how much they will contribute to the team when you really focus on how to actually help make that person better and better and better at their jobs, and you set things up so that they can be successful. It really is beautiful to see that person nurture and grow. I've had staff who had started with very little to no experience, who are incredible executives in our company today. They just did it one step at a time, one step at a time. The next point, I had a bit of an issue on this, concern about the staff having time to take on these duties or functions. So I would keep them. I would take them on myself. They're so busy already. The reality is, I don't have time to do it either, yet I need to figure it out. They don't have time to do it. Okay, good. Well, let's start looking at somebody's plate. Let's look at what are the different types of things they're handling. Maybe there's a couple things in there that they shouldn't have to be dealing with. Maybe if we sort out a couple things organizationally, we can actually free up the time. And in some cases, people are more capable than we can give them credit for. And so we add something to the plate and work with them. I'm not just saying throw it at them blindly and say, hey, handle it, but we give it to them, we work with them, and all of a sudden we find out that they can take on more and more and more and more. The other side of that is the more training you do, the more competent people are at being able to do the jobs because they're just able to get it done much more quickly. Well, that opens the door to being able to give them more work. So there's this beautiful circle that happens here when you really spend time training, you really spend time making sure they know how to do it. They then have more time, et cetera, et cetera. Point number 8, concern about the quality. Well, yeah, because I can do it better than somebody, or what if they don't do it good enough quality, or et cetera, et cetera. The interesting piece on this one, people can do great work. Our job from an executive and an owner perspective is to help them be successful at it, help them make sure that they can do it. So the quality thing, just coach and train them to the point that they're able to do quality. And if they're able to do part of it really well, then you get them to do a bigger piece of it and a bigger piece of it, and a bigger piece of it. And there you go. But if you use the excuse of quality that inhibits you from ever getting somebody on and up and running, that's more on you than them. The next one is, what if you have this concern about the impact on customer satisfaction? Like, customers won't be happy because they want you to do it. See, when we were smaller, I was directly doing all the delivery with our clients. And when I actually wanted to grow the organization and get somebody else who was responsible for doing that, I got pushback from a couple clients. What ended up happening is, through some conversation and getting the other person on, getting them coached on how to do it, and then being on the call with the customer and letting this other person start to lead the call, the bulk of the customers totally happy and totally fine. One of the customers who tended to be a little more difficult in general, they were really pushing back hard. No, we just need you to be the one to do it. And we got to a point where I was like, look, I can't do it. And they're like, yeah, but you have to be the one, because if it's not you, the quality is horrible. And they wouldn't even give the person a chance. And honestly, we ended up firing that client, even though they were responsible for a decent amount of our income, because they were holding me back organizationally from getting where I wanted to go. What ended up happening was, I pushed really hard to acquire a handful of more customers. It worked totally fine. So apparently quality wasn't the issue. It was more of somebody else just going, I want to be right next to the guy who does this work. We just weren't in a position to do that anymore. So there is a trade-off. There is a balance. Even if you're in a position where you have something that you have a specialized skill for, there's support all around you that can be done. Even if you're doing that one piece of the function, you can start to get support for all the other parts and pieces that allow you to do that one part. And at a certain point, you can decide, hey, I don't want to do that. I've worked with audio engineers on that. They started hiring other people to do parts and pieces. Then you actually start hiring people to do kind of the core piece, but on smaller projects, and you can actually work yourself out of it. Point number 10, what I do is super specialized. Like, it's different for me in this industry. Rafi, it's easy for you to say because you have like consulting and some software and whatever. It's easy for you to say. That's what a lot of people will say. They think what they do is so different, so unique that nobody else can do it. And I have proven every single time I've gotten into a conversation with somebody on this topic that there is a way to turn it over, no matter how specialized the function is. People get trained to do brain surgery. I think if they get trained to do brain surgery, they can get trained to do a whole lot of things in this world. People get trained to shoot rockets and land things on the moon. Okay, cool. So maybe my job's not so hard after all. So these 10 points you start to think about, you start to reflect and start to go, maybe I got my own ego in the way a little bit here. Maybe I like being the guy with the answers to all the questions. Maybe there's other things on my job that I am not really facing or confronting that I probably should. If you take the time to step back and look at all of that and realize all of these reasons are the reasons you actually need to train people, you need to get them to do the job. Relinquish a little bit, but make sure you continue looking and you can see that people are actually successfully doing it. With that, over time, you build trust and you build confidence in your team. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below what you think. Appreciate it. See you guys in the next one.